Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We went to movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained best pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the favorite bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey.
Draguna, Macoides, Precorum, Satis D. Nothing happened. Am I doing something wrong?
Well, to tell you the truth, it does seem a bit old-fashioned. After all, we are in the 20th century.
What do you suggest?
Well, it needs rhythm, tempo, music. As I always say, do it with a flair. Do you mind if I have a go?
Oh, of course not.
Now, come along, you lot. We need all the help we can get. Draguna, Macoides, Tracorum Satis D. Draguna, Macoides, Tracorum Satis D.
Constituting airy locomotion, mystic power that's far beyond the wildest notion. It's so weird, so weird, and yet wonderful to see. Substitutionary locomotion.
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And today we decided that we didn't get enough Nazis in the Temple of Doom. Count them, no Nazis in the Temple of Doom.
That zero.
So we were like, what movie can we watch instead that has Nazis in it? And we decided on Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Actually, we put a poll on Twitter with 4 choices of classic Disney movies. And we're talking classic, circa The Parent Trap. What else do we put? The Shaggy Dog.
Yeah, non-animated, or at least not
Bug.
fully animated. So not like a Disney cartoon, but like...
the Gnome Mobile, which
Gnome-mobile.
nobody voted for except Emily. I think you. What did you vote for?
No, I voted for Bedknobs.
Oh my God.
I
You
know.
didn't vote for the Gnome Mobile.
And then what was... Oh, and that was it. Those 4. Yeah, okay.
And Bedknobs and Broomsticks won.
Yeah, and we'll be covering all those eventually. So you're going to get No Mobile, all you haters out there.
I think nobody just knows what that is. Maybe we were the only
can't do
people
it
that
then?
watched it. Of course we can do it. We can do whatever we want. We did the Chipmunk Adventure and we got one of our best fans ever from doing it. Jen. Hi. Love you.
Yeah, so basically Bedknobs and Broomsticks is a hybrid of Mary Poppins and Indiana Jones because you have...
What?
Best description ever. Who wouldn't want to watch that movie? Because you have... not lonely, strike that word, don't ever use it in the context of this movie. Woman with children, male sidekick, animation thrown in, plus Nazis.
Okay. So Indiana Jones is the Nazis.
Yes.
It's part of that.
Yes.
Okay, sure. I'll buy it. So this is this our oldest movie or no? Willy Wonka still was. Mary Poppins. Sorry. You're right. I'm just, it's really hot, so I forgot.
Yeah. Until we do Meet Me in St. Louis.
Oh my God. Okay, so 1971.
So this is third oldest, I think.
So 1971, this movie was
Second.
released, starring Angela Lansbury.
Woo!
That guy, what's his name?
David Tomlinson.
Who's Mr. Banks and Mary Poppins. And a couple kids, and Roddy McDowell in a random role as a priest with a nice hat.
Really, did not use his talents. Though that was a pretty funny scene.
It was a funny scene, but it was very brief.
He really just acted with his face.
He's in the beginning in a little bit.
0 lines.
And in the end.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Right. So I would refer to Bedknobs and Broomsticks as Mary Poppins, the B-side, if we're talking about albums analogy.
Sure.
Yeah. Oddly enough, Julie Andrews was supposed to play the lead role that Angela Lansbury played because she felt like she needed to do another movie with Disney because they really were the Mary Poppins was really started her career and she felt that she owed it to them. But I guess that they had already signed Angela Lansbury or something like that. So she was like, okay, cool.
I thought Julie Andrews turned it down.
is she turned it down, but then she regretted it or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, so but I think it's a good choice that it was a different actress because it just would have been too. It would have been the same movie if it was the same actress.
Yeah, it's already basically the same movie, and then having Julie Andrews just be like, okay, this is ridiculous. So, but we'll talk about the similarities in a bit.
Yeah, and there's not enough to like her. There's not like that as many songs in this, and ones that would really like show her talents too. So it's like I think it was a perfect role for Angela Lansbury, and obviously Angela Lansbury, you know, known to many people as the Murder, She Wrote Jessica Fletcher, one of my favorite shows. We'll talk about it later. But was actually a big Broadway star, and I have another story about that. But that's kind of where she got her start in theater, and she did movies and stuff. She was in National Velvet. She's in something else too.
Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, well, when she was older. But I think our generation really knows her, you're right, as either Murder, She Wrote or Mrs. Potts. Yeah. And, but yeah, she's like a hot little ticket in this. I think she was in her mid-40s or so. She's 92, everyone, and still kicking it.
Crazy.
She's still doing Broadway, or a couple of years ago, she was still doing Broadway. Yeah. I think they maybe had to, like, if she forgot lines, they would, like, kind of pipe them in her ears. But whatever, that woman is a fucking national treasure, and she's not even American. She's my national treasure. But yeah, and like Sweetie here didn't remember much of this movie. I remember it a lot. It's like getting a warm hug or wearing like a really big bulky sweater and sitting in front of a fire. I mean, is that how it made you feel?
No. I was like, this movie's really long, and it doesn't need to be. So it's 2 hours long, and 2 hours and 16 minutes or something. I think the original runtime was 2.5 hours, and they cut it down significantly for the theatrical run. And then when it was re-released in later years, they went back and found that footage that they cut out. So I think what we watched was like maybe the full thing or close to it.
Yeah.
But it is very long, and I will talk about an easy edit they could have made to not make it this long after the synopsis. But
I'll be interested to hear what that is.
But yes, that's how I felt, and I remembered some parts watching it. Yes, mostly the cartoon parts, and obviously the bed knob like twisting what was actually making the bed move part. But that's really it. Like, do not remember any of those songs. Couldn't sing them for you if I tried. Even now, after having just watched it, I'm like,
we'll go over the titles of the songs.
Yeah, we're not going to sing.
I'm going to sing a line or two because I remember some of them. Good. But yeah, we definitely like. I don't. So same composers as Mary Poppins. So the famous Sherman Brothers who did Mary Poppins, and then we're kind of like on contract for Disney, creating songs and stuff for all their stuff that had songs. But just not like the same. Like some of them are really catchy, but it just didn't catch on the way Mary Poppins did. Definitely like a little rough around the edges. This movie, as Sweetie said, much too long. There's really fun parts to it that it's when you're a kid, I think you really latch on to.
Or
the
if you're
sections
tonight drinking vodka,
she was
dying. Into it.
I think it's fucking funny. Yeah. So definitely like inferior in many ways to Mary Poppins for sure. It needed editing and a bunch of stuff, but it's still a magical, lovely film, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Cool, let's do it.
All right, it's time for the Sweetie synopsis. Yeah,
Sweeties.
Dragonum, Macoides, Trachorum satis D.
Oh my god. Oh, that's good.
It's all by memory.
Cool. The year 1940. The country, England. The town, Pepperidge I. It's World War II, and the children of London have been evacuated to the countryside. In Pepperidge, there are 3 children without a home. That is Carrie, Charles, and Paul Rollins. They need a home. And luckily, there is a single woman by the name of Miss Price who has a sweet little motorcycle with one of those sidecar deals. And she just zips into town and is picking up a long package at the post office. And the woman whose kind of dividing the kids into the homes is like, oh, good, like you can take these 3 kids. And she's like, what? Like, no asking. There's no asking here because apparently they decreed that like everybody has to help and like take in kids if need be.
Right, which is a good
so
cause.
She just has to do it even though she's kind of like nervous about it at first, but she does it begrudgingly and is like, well, I'll only do it if you promise to look for a better home for them later. So she takes them home and kind of gets them settled, and the kids are they just want to go back to London, which I'm like, do you really? Like, it's very sooty there and there's bombs dropping like on the regs. So then what do they have to go back to?
Super
An orphanage? I'm confused.
Yeah, that I guess was the deal was like that they actually don't have
like,
parents.
Get over London.
What was their home?
Well,
they want to stay with some crusty little lady they don't know.
Well, they were pretty mean to her, and just Charles. So Charles is is he the oldest or was Carrie the oldest? Okay,
no, he's the oldest.
He was the oldest, and he's kind of smarmy and a dick. He's basically like those brothers in Oasis, the band Oasis.
Totally.
Like, same like Cockney accent and just like such a dick. He's always just like, what we're doing here then? This place is stupid.
Aren't they Irish though? The Gallagher brothers?
Oh, are they? I don't know. Forget it then. But he's just a jerk, and like she like is pretty nice to them and gives them a nice room and a big bed.
And she's like, you think. Because she's like a cool single lady with her like motorcycle and her sidecar and her like purple hat and scarf, and she's like kind of funky. That she like wouldn't be good with kids, but she's like really like lovely
She's
to them.
a natural.
And cooks some like little oatmeal, and it's like, let's have tea with my little tea cozy.
And like really the only thing she asks is that like they wash up before dinner, and Charlie's like, wash up before dinner? What, we're living in a prison or something? I'm like, listen, it was a.
Oh no, they're English.
Okay,
right.
nice. I knew it. Yeah, so that's them. Okay, so then
I wonder
they decide
why.
that champagne supernova in the sky. So they decide that they're gonna make a break for it and go to fucking London because they're obsessed with fucking London. And so they go out the window. Meanwhile, Miss Price is opening her new package, and what is it, sweetie?
A broomstick. So. Miss Price, Eglantine, cool name, is actually a witch or training to be a witch, and is now just received her like next status. She is taking a correspondence course in witchcraft, and she gets the stuff mailed to her from London, and she got a broomstick this time, and congratulations, you are now an apprentice. So she's like wicked excited. So she hops on this broom and is like trying to ride it desperately, and then finally gets on it, but then goes a little bit haywire outside, crashes into a bush, and the kids see this. So they're like, wow, she's a witch, like so cool. And it like doesn't even really faze them that much because they're like kids. Except fucking Charles is like, oh, like let me use this to like blackmail her essentially. Like what a dick.
Such a dick.
This woman is like giving you her house so you don't get blown up by bombs, and you're like, let's blackmail her, asshole. Anyway, so they at breakfast the next day they confront her. Charles does, and he's like, hey, yo, we know you're a witch. Like, let us go back to London, or no, or like I forgot. They make
give us something, or we'll tell everyone you're a witch.
Blah, blah, blah. She's like, okay, sure. Like, let me trade you a spell. And they're like, what are we gonna do with a spell? And she tells them that there's this cool traveling spell that she found out about her like 5th week of classes. And sorry, I just hit you.
I was like, hello?
What do you want? With my hands, like So she's like, oh, does anyone have like a tourney, something that turns a ring or a bracelet or something like that? And little Paul's like, oh, I always keep stuff in me pockets. And so he pulls out like a piece of string, some pins, like all this shit. And then the bed knob of the bed frame upstairs he stole and put it in his pocket. It's like this giant little round orb thing, right? That you like screw on top of the bedpost. And she's like, that'll do perfectly. So she enchants it with a spell. And then they bring it up to the bedroom to try it out. Unfortunately, at the same time, she gets a letter from her, the director of the witchcraft school in London, saying that they have to close down. And she's like one lesson away from graduating or whatever, and getting this important spell that she thinks will like turn the tide for the war effort.
But we don't know what that
we don't
spell
know what that
is. Right. Okay. I thought I was just dumb. I was like, what?
So she's
That
like
looks nuts.
super bummed, and the kids are like, what can we do to help you? And she's like, oh, like Paul, like little boy, because the little boy's the only one who can actually do the travel spell because it's his bed knob.
But it's not really his bed knob. It's her bed knob.
I don't know. You know,
okay.
Loosey-goosey rules.
Whatever.
So she's like, you can do something for me. Like, let's get that bed and, like, make it go to London. He really wanted to go to the jungle, but she convinces him and gives him this nice little speech. And he's like, okay, like, fine, let's go to London. He's 6 years old. What does he know? So they hop on the bed and, like, this. And Charles, like, doesn't believe them that the bed can go. The other kids are, like, totally on board. They're, like, fucking pumped. Charles is like, wah, wah, wah. Oh, we forgot to, like, or tell that Charles had gotten changed into a bunny or a rabbit, a big white rabbit. So he knows that the witchcraft stuff is legit, but he's still like a little bit.
He's still like,
I
don't believe it. I'm looking down that bed.
Yeah.
What a weirdo.
So they cast the spell, and how you do it is you say like, "Bed, I want to go here." You tap the bed knob 3 times, then you turn it to the left, and then you whisk away to London. So they end up in London town.
Who knows how long that bed travel takes? It seemed a little
pretty psychedelic.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Janis Joplin was going to come out on the thing and be like, "Cry, cry, baby."
Good one.
I just watched a documentary on her.
It's basically like the scene in the tunnel scene in Willy Wonka, except not scary.
Yeah,
That's how I would classify it. Still unsure of the travel time. Does it take as much time as it would to fly to London?
It seemed like
normally?
instantaneous. Like I mean, it was like nighttime, and then it was kind of like dusky time, like almost closing time, right?
And can anyone else see it? Are the Nazis like, what is that? And then like try to shoot it down?
It's fucking magic.
Yeah. So they get to London, they land, they like push the bed around everywhere. Nobody's noticing the bed, so maybe nobody else can see it. I don't know. They find Professor. They shut up, Siri.
It's Nigel.
We don't need you, Nigel. It's so strange. We're like talking about London. He's like, I'm not sure I understand.
He's actually
this.
Australian. I'm sorry.
Oh, Nigel, right? Duh.
I mean, that's a British name, but I named him Nigel.
Oh, that was Australian. No, I guess it could be anything.
Nigel Parker.
Exactly.
Nigel Parker.
America's Next Top. No, that's Barker. That's Nigel Barker.
Barker. So you think you can dance?
Parker. So you think you can dance?
Nigel Barker.
Or
Parker.
Dancing with the Stars. I don't know. Anyways, so there's a lot of Nigels. Okay, so they find Professor Emmanuelus.
Let's call him Mr. Brown.
We'll call him Professor Brown. Doc Brown, if you will. Just kidding. Just kidding. They find Professor Brown, and he's actually a street magician who sucks. He tries to do like a big trick for the audience, and he messes it up. So he's like Bert, but he's not making that tip. He's not making those tips. He's not making that money. So the kids are like, we found him. And she's like, you're Professor Brown. Like, why did you cancel school, your college? Like, I need to know the last part of that spell. It's very important. I could save England and end the war with this. And he's like, well, I just found those spells in a book and then changed them a little bit, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, show me that book. I need to see the rest of that spell. So they go to his house, which is just this like mansion he's squatting in that has a bomb outside of it, so no one else will go in it.
Good one.
Good plan though. Yeah, that's pretty
I mean,
smart.
he's basically a con artist.
Total con artist.
He says he's a magician.
Oh yeah, he's not.
Yeah. Magician, aka con artist.
But when he learns that Miss Price can do magic, he's very excited and does his first of several sexist things, which says that, oh, I have a brilliant idea. We can do a show now where I'm the magician and my assistant's the one actually with the magic powers, and I just pretend that they're mine. Right. Just like so typical. Just like take the woman's credit.
Yeah, and taking credit.
Which happens again at the end. But so she finds the book, and it's half the pages are missing, and she's like, where's the rest of this book? And it's not how she talks.
That sounds exactly like Angela Lansbury. How did you do it?
It just came out naturally. He's like, well, I don't know, but it might be in this place called Portobello Road. Is that how it goes?
Portobello Road. It's where the riches of ages are sold. Anything and anything a chap can unload. You can find it in Portobello Road.
It's essentially a flea market. That's what I would classify it as. So they go to like the book
lively street dancing.
They go to the bookstore, which is just a guy selling a bunch of books like out of a box, and they don't find the book. Obviously, it's like a 1 in a million chance that like the other half of the book. Unless did he find the book originally?
He's selling a fucking half a book.
I don't know. So this shady character overhears them and is like, "Oh, I need to get them." So how does he lure them?
He's like, "Hey, want some watches? Want some this? Want this knife in your face?"
Yeah, and then he like pulls out a knife, and you're like, "Whoa, buddy, calm it down." So they go with him to this other place where this old man, this crusty old guy, is like has the other half of the book.
The bookman or something like that.
Bookman, of course, that would be his name. He's got the other half of the book, so they're like, "Sweet, give us the information in that," which he just tells them what's in the book. Rather.
No, they switch.
They do switch.
She is one side, he is the other, and they're both looking for that
her
other
side anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so she takes the other side, and then he tells them a nice little story, which Sweetie will recount for you because I wasn't paying attention. She yelled at me.
Okay, so the book of hold on, I have to write this down. The Astaroth, and he was like this magician, and so the whole book is his, and all the spells are his. So Astaroth ended up wanting to use his powers to create like animals with human powers. So he like goes to this island and brings all these animals in cages and stuff, and he gives them all these human powers. But that then the animals get these human powers, but then rebel and kill Astaroth, and then and he has like this star with these sayings on his neck, and this is the star that has these sayings. That is a spell that Miss Price wants. So it's been rumored like that this island does exist. This like sailor like washed up on shore and talked about an island with animals on it, but this guy has never been able to find this island, so he doesn't exist. And little Paul's like, it does too exist. And he has this picture book that they found in the children's playroom of the house that Mr. Brown was squatting in. Mm-hmm. So the book is called The Isle of Nabombo, and so it's this real island, and that matches like what they know about the Star of Astaroth and stuff. So they're like, aha, like we have to go to this island and get the star, which will have the Star of Astaroth, which will have all we need to know to make this substitutionary locomotion spell. Which is the one they really want.
The other part of the spell that she needs, it's on that medallion.
Yes.
It's not in the book.
It's not in the book.
Okay.
And later they learned it's actually somewhere else.
Plot hole. Okay, I mean, red herring. Whatever that's called. So they're like, so they jump on the bed and they're like, all right, see you later, assholes. And they take the other half of the book and they get on the bed and they go to the island of Nabombo, which they landed. And this is the part of the movie where it changes into a cartoon, like Mary Poppins when they go in the chalk drawing. So,
and I think better than the Mary Poppins like part. It's really, really fun.
I think so too. So they like go in the water. So they're like in this lagoon and there's all these fish dancing, fish ball, briny ballroom. Yeah, the briny ballroom. BB. So there's like it's like a dance competition, and of course, just like in Mary Poppins, the humans win because they're like, "Oh, you've been doing this forever, but guess what? I win." So just like that, and then a hook comes down and catches the boat and pulls them up, and it's this like he's basically like a hick bear. He's not very smart. This bear
wearing like a little baby sailor's outfit.
Yeah, and I always remember that character as soon as I saw him.
He looks like Blue.
Yeah.
So all the animation is a combination of Jungle Book and like Robin Hood. So all the cartoons that came out at that time. So like the lion looks exactly like the lion in Robin Hood.
It's really confusing.
Yeah, it's super confusing.
Yep. So he takes them to the king, and then the king.
They hate humans, so people aren't supposed to be on the island. Right. But like the king loves football, so Mr. Brown is able to talk to him about
soccer.
Yeah, and convince him like they need a referee. They always need referees. So Mr. Brown agrees to be the referee, and he's kind of thinking in his mind, okay, like I can maybe steal the Star of Astaroth.
Well, he doesn't. They don't realize that.
Yeah.
As soon as they meet the king, we didn't say that that he's wearing the medallion around his neck. So now the new plan is try to get that medallion from the king,
right?
Which he can do by refereeing this football game. So the game starts, and it's animals against animals, and it's a very long game. Yep. It's very silly. It's the silliest part. Silly. So finally, at the end, like the King's team wins, and Professor Brown does his like magician swap out thing that they do, and swaps out the medallion for a whistle, and then they make a break for it. And they're about to get on the bed and go home when the knob gets stuck on Paul's bag or something.
No, in his pocket. He just keeps putting.
Oh, it's like it's stuck. and then the king realizes the medallion's gone. He runs after them, roaring. It's a tense moment, but not really, because Miss Price turns the king into a bunny, which is like her number one spell. It's what she's known for, essentially. So that changes that, and then they go back to London. And then when they get there, unfortunately, they realize that the medallion couldn't come because it can't travel from world to world.
Yeah.
Ugh, all of that for fucking nothing, you guys.
Or was it? Because it gets revealed.
Still was nothing because...
Well, it gets revealed that little Paul, like, remember, like, she kind of has, like, a slight, like, memory loss. Miss Price, like, forgets all her spells. You know, she's kind of, like, a not that greatest witch in some ways. She's not the worst witch. But, yeah, so she forgets the spell that would make the substitutionary locomotion spell possible, which now is revealed makes ordinary objects, inanimate objects, animate. So that you can control things that aren't, you know, that's like a shoe or pants or whatever, and make them come to life. So she forgets the words, and then they're like, well, that was that. Like, that was fun and all, whatever. Paul's like, I know the words, and no one will listen to him for a while. But then he reveals that the words were in his picture book the whole time. There's a picture of the Star of Astaroth in the picture book. So they have the words now, and then she can do the spell. So the words are Trigunum, Macoides, Tricorum, Satis, D. And she tries it out, and at first it's a pair of shoes that she makes kind of dance around, and then all these inanimate objects just come out of like the whole house and come to life, and it's kind of out of control. Mm-hmm. And she considers that like a failure. It's like a little bit of a chaos, and she's like, I can't use this spell. It's not ready yet. Like, I need to practice, and she's like super bummed. Meanwhile, the kids and Mr. Brown, they're all like living as a little family in the house and like having a good time. At one point, the old lady who stuck the kids with Miss Price to begin with comes and said there's like a farmer who has a free house, the kids can go with them. And kids kind of like chime in and like, no, we like it here. Like, let's stay. And so she kind of decides she likes the kids too. And like Mr. Brown should stay too. Mr. Brown kind of like freaks out, like bachelor con man that he is. And he's like, oh, kids, no, not ready for this. Gotta go back to London. Bye. And like leaves them. And the kids are crying. It's like the one really sad upsetting part. Yeah, super sad.
Yeah. So it's nighttime, and they're going to bed, and Miss Price spots a Nazi in the hedge. So in the night, a Nazi U-boat came ashore, and a few Nazis. I mean, I'd say like 15 Nazis came out of that. It wasn't like a big deal.
Well, it was this weird thing where they're like, this is not the invasion. We just want to like let you know that we could invade you if we wanted.
It was pretty bizarre. So they just like take up shop in Miss Price's home. Don't do anything to the kids. They're like strangely polite to them. They're like, please be quiet. I'm like, I don't think Nazis would say that. They would have killed them immediately. But it's a Disney movie. So they're like, times. We need to put you somewhere else where you're not going to annoy us. So they lock them up in the museum that houses all these old armors.
Suits of armor?
I was like, statues of armor?
And
suits of armor.
And armor and weaponry from all eras of British history.
Bunch of British historical things in this museum. So they're like, do the spell. And she's like, it's not ready. But they do it anyways. And meanwhile, Professor Brown shows up because he was sleeping at the train station, saw some Nazis, and was like, shit, I gotta help them. So he goes back, changes himself into a rabbit, and then goes to the museum and reunites with everyone. Yeah. So now they're all together again. Yay. And so she does the spell, and like every single thing in the museum comes to life and starts marching towards the Nazis, who are like freaking out. And they're like, what is this? They try shooting at all the armor. They can't do anything. Miss Price is directing them from her broomstick and like one of those cute little tin hats. It's adorable.
Yeah, like saucer hats. And she's like a little British flag on the back of the the broom and a little saber.
Yep, a saber. Good word.
I almost cried.
Good word.
She made it. We can do it.
And so then they kind of defeat the Nazis. The Nazis get so scared they run away. Losers. And then they get back on their U-boat and like sail off. And then meanwhile, the like ragtag group of like 10 old men that make up the army of this town are like, oh, the Nazis.
The soldiers of the old home guard. Another song.
They're like, get to work. So they like start firing their guns at the Nazis and they're like, that's right, we drove you off. So again, taking credit for what the woman did. And then that's it. And everything's happy. And then Mr. Brown decides he does want to live with them and they get together. He and Mr. Price get together at the end. They share a nice little smooch. The kids have a family. It's all very happy. Yeah.
And he goes off to war. So
and Mr. Brown.
hope he makes it.
I don't know. It's probably
a little old,
not
but
likely.
good
Yeah.
Mr. Brown.
I mean, they needed.
It's kind of a little old.
Yeah. So that's it, and that's the flick.
Flick.
So pretty crazy, pretty silly, real silly at parts, but enjoyable enough.
Yeah.
A lot of very funny moments. So, what do you want to start with? Things you remember?
Let's just go through the songs. We'll
Oh.
get that part out of the way.
Okay.
As we said, like, don't know a ton of the lyrics to these songs. So I'm just going to say the title and, like, hum a little tune of it, maybe. All right.
Cool.
So I only counted 6 songs. So it's a half a musical, maybe. Very, very small. And so the first one is The Soldiers of the Old Home Guard. So it's when the old men, so I would guess like World War I veterans, kind of marching in, ragtag. The leader being Admiral Boom from Mary Poppins, looking even older.
His last movie, I think.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, this was
Sad.
like 6 years after or something.
Sad.
But yeah, so they're marching in, and I don't remember the lyrics, but it's like, the soldiers of the old home guard. And it's like this marching song.
The music is similar to A Spoonful of Sugar, like the beat.
Yep.
I noticed. So it's kind
of and then Miss Price sings a song, "The Age of Not Believing," to Charles because he's like a stick in the mud about like believing in magic and stuff like that. It's like da 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 da. You're in the age of not believing.
Your favorite toy is a string. It's like totally accurate. Charles literally plays with the string the whole time. Like, cool. It's really depressing.
Yeah. So I guess that one actually was nominated for Best Song for an Oscar. Yikes.
What?
Snooze
Sucked.
song. Yeah. And she's like, I feel like she was like half-assed singing it too. And she's like on the bed and like in between the songs, she's just like making the bed and giving
that's
like
that
instructions.
Song.
It was like such a
Not a good
throwaway.
song.
I'm like,
Weird.
not really like a showpiece for her voice and either.
Yeah, weird.
And then the third one is Eglantine, oh how you shine. He's trying to convince her to be like the magician's assistant. They're in the
that's her name.
the library.
Right.
So it's like a fun little like flirty song. My favorite, Portobello Road, it's where the riches of ages are sold. Good one.
Good song. Good
My
dance
second
number.
favorite one. Oh no, these last 3 are all my favorite. Just kidding. Bobbing along on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea. Good one.
Likes that one.
Yep,
It's cute.
that's such a cute one. And they're like all dancing and doing all these flips and stuff. And it's just like a good time down there. And then last but not least, substitutionary locomotion. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Substitutionary locomotion, come to me. So she's kind of like doing the spell, and then they're in the corner like chanting Trigunum, Macoides, Tricorum Sanctus Dei, Trigunum, Macoides, Tricorum Sanctus Dei.
I like it.
So that's pretty cool. That's probably my
pretty
favorite
cool.
one.
Yeah,
Good like beats. I love she's like pointing to the shoe, and she's like, it's good.
it's pretty good.
So that's it. Mini musical. That's all I got for you.
It just seemed, I mean, they're not catchy songs. Like I said, I can't repeat any of, like, even now after you just sang them, I don't remember any of the melodies or, like, anything. I just question
Sophomore slump.
Yeah, I
Sherman
mean, I just
Brothers.
question like if like what did this need to be a musical? Probably not. I think that they were just writing on the coattails of Mary Poppins, and people wanted another Mary Poppins, so that's why. Same thing with the cartoon segment. As like fun as that segment is, and it is a lot of very funny moments in that, and it's what I remember most as a child. If they just cut that whole part out, it would have reduced the movie by like half an hour, and we would have been fine. Because really that whole trip there is useless.
Right, but it's like for the kids.
Right, but they only did that because they wanted to like further the momentum from Mary Poppins and be like, we did this cool technology.
Yes.
Look at we can do it even
that
better
too. But
here.
then wouldn't you say that that's like it was pointless in Mary Poppins too? It didn't like move the story along or anything. Except when the kids were like,
but it was more magical, I guess. Like this is literally you're just watching a soccer game for like 30 minutes of just like animals playing, and it's silly. It is funny sometimes, but I just think it goes on like a little too long.
Yeah.
And the whole time Paul had the fucking medallion in his coloring book, so they could have easily been like, oh wait, I've seen those words before, and then like flip open his book or whatever, and then ta-da, problem solved. But I understand the intent, and I do. That is my favorite part. So I'm not like against it. I'm just saying that if we wanted to cut this movie down, that's what I would have done.
And I think not as well done marrying the live people into the cartoon. I feel like it was done a little bit better for Mary Poppins, especially with the soccer game, which was really just like Mr. Professor Brown as like the ref. And like the kids were on the side, but they weren't like really in the action. You know?
And it just felt less magical because in Mary Poppins, they like it's so fun that they like are in. They're in a chalk drawing, and they're just like going to this island that is supposed to just exist, and you're like, but why? Like it's not. It's confusing. Yeah. And it still makes me. One of the things I hate the most is when. It's like very like this. I was kind of getting at this when we talked about Indiana Jones, but we're like very magical things are happening around you, but you still are refusing to believe like certain other aspects. So perfect example is when they have now crashed in the lagoon and they're all underwater and they can all breathe and talk normally, and there's like not a problem there. And then so they're like cruising on the bed in the lagoon, and Charles sees a fish that is like, oh, hello, chaps. Like, welcome to the lagoon. And Charles is like, wait a minute. Fish can't talk.
Wait, I'm not a bed in the bottom of the sea.
And like, Charlie, old boy,
Wake
like,
up.
hello. What about all this other shit that happened? Like, none of that's possible either, but it happened. Like, so fish talking that's the last straw. That's just too crazy. Charles, love to hate you.
Yeah.
But
Who's gonna hate?
But ultimately, I think that the songs just aren't there. They don't have that same magic, and it makes me sad because I love a good musical. We do. But just didn't have it for me.
Didn't have it. So I would say for favorite part for me is when she gets the substitutionary locomotion spell, like starts it off first and kind of messes it up, and kind of everything gets wild. So at first these shoes come to life, and it's like really sweet, and the shoes are like tap dancing and like falling in love with her, and it's like working lovely, and everyone's like woo. And then all of a sudden, like all her clothes start marching into the room, and it's like a nightgown, a pair of gloves, all these dresses, a pair of pants, and like the nightgown like comes over to Mr. Brown and like dances a waltz with him, and he's like, oh, hello, and he's like really enjoying it. And then like the pants like kick people, and then the gloves like get jealous that he's dancing with the nightgown and start beating him up. I mean, it's just like this chaotic mess, and it's so funny. I was cracking up.
It's very funny.
I was dying.
You were dying. The nightgown, it was a floozy. Let's just say that. She just like comes
I'm not
over.
responsible for what that nightgown does.
Yeah, that's great. But she Angela Lansbury is just so funny. She's just so great at those like little like I don't know how to explain it. Like Julie Andrews' humor is very like poignant, and she's just like it's funny because she says things like, don't slouch, Michael. Close your, you know what I mean? Like she's proper.
She's better
really
than you.
proper.
She's better than you. It's that kind
But
of like
Miss
elevated.
Price is like lovingly clumsy and just like not perfect. absent-minded, and she just does such funny things. And when she gets she, for some reason gets like kicked in the butt like a bunch of times in this by like random shit, like a pair of pantyhose, and she'll just be like, oh, and like do this funny noise and like movement, and it's just
and she fell a lot.
Great.
She had a lot of like little like she fell off the broomstick a couple times in the bush, and like she's like a lot of little funny like slapstick
kind of gags,
which
that
you
she
would
does.
not like haven't. I mean, that's not totally a Julie Andrews thing. She's like a little bit more silly in like Sound of Music.
So that's why I couldn't.
Sound of Music, she's like that.
Yeah, but
a little bit.
Still like,
but she's just
can't
too polished
picture
and
it.
perfect.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't think it would have worked as well. But I do love Angela Lansbury. Yeah, that's my favorite. I like that part a lot. I did like the lagoon part where they're like waltzing with all the fish, and there's all these different kinds of fish. There's like electric eels, lobsters
that are Spanish castanets.
Mm-hmm. I'm blanking on the other ones, but like just all kinds of characters. I liked that a lot. I did like the Portobello Road dance scene.
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
So it's the song, and then there's also a couple breaks in the middle for some random dancing. And by random, I mean
a multicultural street dance party,
cultural street fair, which includes, but is not limited to, first a group of sailors who are very gay and.
Gene Kelly-esque.
Yep. Same kind of movements, though, as the chimney sweeps in Mary Poppins. And then you're like, well, that was fun. And then these, like, Indian army guys, like, march in and start doing these, like, weird, like, Indian dance moves.
Is that racist? Like, what is that?
I don't know. If they are
from?
Indian, then no, I guess.
Well, I think what was racist was the kids were like,
yeah,
what
so the kids were like, what's
doing?
going on? I'm like, God, this is so racist.
Who are these brown people?
Yeah, it was like typical racism. And then you're like, okay, that was weird. And then after that, they
bagpipers.
They get some bagpipers. There's like random hookers in nice dresses.
I think there was an Irish jig, maybe.
An Irish jig.
Yep.
But were those hookers? They had
just
really
two hookers.
bright dresses on.
Those weren't the hookers. The hookers did dance, but these were the non-hookers too.
They were wearing like the same clothes. It was hard to tell. So then
the grand finale,
a group of Jamaicans
with a steel drum band, everybody, a steel drum band.
And women come in and they're doing like not...
They're doing like Portobello Road with the steel drums.
It's so weird.
It's like Caribbean like beats and outfits, and they're black.
Yeah, it's odd. It was just I wasn't expecting it. Was that the last of the weird things?
But then it's like a huge party, and they're all dancing.
And then they're all dancing together, and it's very fun. It's cool. It's a jazzy, snappy little number.
It's fun.
At one point, all the sailors are like, "Let's pick out these instruments," and they all like are in the band. It's neat. But yeah, it was a really good scene. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed myself. I think. And then the finale when all the suits of armor come to life.
Fun.
That was fun.
And like seeing all the different kinds. So they go through like medieval times, Crusades, the Revolution, maybe like some Three Musketeers shit.
I spotted like maybe some Vikings or like something.
Yeah. So it's like it just runs the gamut of like the different groups of people.
And then they have
like settled England.
Yeah, and then they have a shot of like all of them, and it's a lot. It's a lot of suits, and you're like, that museum was not that big. Where did they all come from?
In the basement or
there,
something.
yeah, there were like 5 in the main room that came to life, and then there must have been. I mean, it was a museum, so it'd be like if you were at the Museum of Natural History, like all those rooms would have come to life and like helped you. I guess. I guess it's that sort of thing.
I mean, I don't know how they did it. I mean, I'm guessing that they had people in the suits that were like short, so it only came up to their head.
No, I think they can. They could
erase their heads.
Yeah, I think they could. It was however they did the Invisible Man in whatever.
Okay, so they had that technology,
and that was way before then. So
so I mean, it gets a little redundant because the Nazis are like shooting them, and then like the bullets all end up in their armor, and then they like take off their shoe or the boot, and all these like bullets come out. So they like run that joke a couple times, like so it gets like a little redundant. And then it's really fun, but then it's super sad because then they like blow up a bit of Mrs. Price's house, and then she like flies off the broom into the bush, and then the spell goes like bye bye. So then they all like, and I remember this part distinctly when I was little and being like super sad about it because it's like
It's like they all die at once.
and they all just like slink down and just like they're inanimate objects as they are, and they just kind of go back to that, and it's just like all that life was there is gone, and it was just like very sad. I just hate that noise
because they had like personalities and they were like real people, even though they were inanimate. So I can understand how that's very confusing as a child. But yeah, that was a great part.
I did not want the magic to end.
And it won't. It doesn't. So a few things that are pretty exciting about this movie. Number one, it teaches me that anybody can be a witch. You just need to take like a correspondence class. You're fine. You're good.
Phoenix. The University of Phoenix.
University of Phoenix. Like a phoenix rising out of
ITT Tech.
Oh my God.
Do you remember ITT Tech commercials?
Yes. But oh my God. So there is I think it's University of Phoenix, or maybe it's another like online school. Have you seen this fucking commercial where it's like, oh my God, it's a cartoon and it's like a mom and she's working in a factory, and then like robots come in and then it's playing this like super sad song because robots took her job. So then she doesn't have a job. So then she's like at her kitchen table being sad, and she carries around the Weekend, Rosie the Riveter We Can Do It poster with her like everywhere, and she like takes it home, and then she's got the box with all of her belongings in it. Sad. But then she goes on the computer and registers for classes online, computer classes, and then has a job, and then she decides she's going to go into IT, and she becomes like a badass IT woman. Oh my God, I cry every time I see it. Wow. And it's like,
guys, Google that shit. Wow,
it's either University of Phoenix or something. But and the song is like a normal like popular song, but it's slowed down and super sad. Oh my God, here it is.
Okay,
can we play it?
No. No one can see.
They can hear it. It's about hearing it because it's the song.
Well, what song is it?
All right, I just need to know what the song is. Oh yeah. Changing every day, every possible way. Ugh, it's so sad. Oh my God, we'll watch it later.
Cranberry song?
Yeah, right? yeah. It's the one from the next Karate Kid where she's doing the moves. Oh, man. So good. Anyways, so please Google. We can do it's IT, capital IT, and then
cute.
University of Phoenix. Please Google that. Anyways, so what are we talking about? So,
this movie teach you?
So anybody can do it. But so many strange, like sexist
what was with the
bullshit.
Misogynistic jabs?
So
very sad.
Yeah. So Professor Brown's like super misogynistic. So he has
it's supposed to make him look bad.
He boils that scheme up about like taking all the credit and him being the magician, even though she's actually has the magical powers. And then he has all these random jabs later where he's like, figures a woman always loses things, so that's why he holds on to the medallion. And then he's like, why can't women learn to file properly? Like, oh, okay, we're not even good at the one thing we're allowed to do, be a secretary.
Yeah, I don't think that's a thing, Professor.
And then he's so that was
and
then
the
that.
Nazis say something too.
They do?
Yeah, when he's like one of the little guards is marching them up to the church, and she's like, just like what the captain said, when like a woman makes a tizzy, like you have to get rid of her or something like super
weird. Yeah. And I would like get it if there was something redeeming about that, and there is sort of, because she kind of saves everyone.
I think that's why they did it. It was supposed to be like kind of like, look at these dumb guys being like, women can't do anything, and like this lady like saves the whole village.
And I would forgive that if it were not for the end when the old men battalion comes and is like, we did this, hooray.
Well, it had to be like that because no one could know that she was a witch. So
I think they could bend the truth.
They had to have it fail before all the people.
We're talking about like talking fish and stuff, and I feel like they could have been like, she's a witch. Also, aren't they going to be like, why are all these suits of armor from the museum like dead on the ground? Please explain.
Oh my God.
I just feel like it'd be easy, and they could be like, she's actually a witch, and she could prove it.
Yeah, but the history with witches in England has not been good. Hello.
I know. I'm just saying that it just makes me a little sad that there wasn't like
she
some
wanted to
shred
live.
of
Remember,
recognition.
she says at the end, like, I decided I didn't want to be a witch. Like, I want to be a mom instead. Like, great trade.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Still sucks.
Yeah. I'm not.
That's
I'm
even
not
worse.
Into that ending. I really wish she could be like, you know what, kids? I really like living by myself.
Daddy's gonna go off to war, and I'm gonna become a mom. Cool.
Me and Cosmic Creepers. We're buds.
Oh, so you forgot to talk about cosmic creepers. So Miss Price has a cat, and it's like a mangy as fuck cat. Like this cat is this cat is sick.
Is
it's
like
sick. It
someone
might
who
have a
was turned
disease.
away from the casting call of Pet Cemetery. Like so,
And they were like, "You're too scary."
he's fucking messed up. He's a rangy motherfucker.
Mangy.
And his name is Cosmic Creepers, though. What a cool name. I'm naming my next cat that.
No, don't. But
C
yeah,
squared.
he was mean, and he was hissing at everyone. But he was just not looking good.
He's
like,
not nice.
he
So she like
looks-
picks him up and is like, Cosmic Creepers,
Yeah,
like, go outside.
He looks real sick.
I don't want you to sleep with me. You scare me to death.
So that was Cosmic Creeper. What other strange characters did we have? We talked about Roddy McDowell's character with the weird hat. I mean, the king. He was a douche.
I don't know.
Anything
I
else?
don't have any more.
Yeah.
I just have
Okay.
anecdotes now. And that's it.
Okay, so tell us your anecdotes.
Okay. So, guys, Angela Lansbury, as I've said, second favorite actress ever. Right behind Julie Andrews, real close, just eking up there, but not quite Angela, not quite. Angela Lansbury. So, my dance teacher growing up was in the Broadway run of this musical called Mame, and Angela Lansbury this is on Broadway in New York in like the 50s. And Angela Lansbury was the main character in that show. And so they stayed friends, and like up till like a couple, like, I don't know, well, at this point I would have been like dancing with my dance teacher, so it would have been like 20 years ago, would go and visit Angela Lansbury in her castle in Ireland and fucking hang out with her.
Do you remember where in Ireland it was?
I
Or?
don't remember where it is.
Oh.
But my best friend Rebe was like obsessed with Murder, She Wrote. So she had my dance teacher get a signed photo of Angela Lansbury and write on it like, "Dear Rebe, like best wishes, like always, Angela Lansbury." And she has it framed still like in her apartment. I fucking love that.
my God.
I visited her in Germany. She lives in Germany now, my friend Rebe. And I almost like wanted to steal it and be like, so I'm going to creep away with this.
I mean, she was a total dish. Such a dish.
Oh, she's a hottie. And
Yeah.
she's a hottie in this. She's like perfect hair. She has most beautiful eyelashes, nice legs.
But still seems much older than she was.
does have like but everyone looked old back then. I think it's one of those things.
Not Julie Andrews.
Julie Andrews is forever young. That woman like does not fucking age. She's like drink unicorn's blood or something. I don't know. Anyway, so that's half of my Angela Lansbury story. My other half is I am a huge fan of Murder, She Wrote. I think I've watched all of the episodes, but now I'm getting to the point where like, I don't know if she was like doing other things or was like too old, but she has like these sidekicks and like they do the mysteries and I'm so fucking pissed.
Bullshit.
So I'll like watch one and then it'll be like some weird one where like she's not even in it and some weird old dude who was like this guy who she met on like a couple of them. But if you've ever seen that show, okay, talk about a cozy like hot water bottle of a show. You put that shit on, it takes place in this like sweet little Maine town. What's hilarious is that she is like 20. She doesn't have any kids. Her husband has died. And she's this mystery writer named Jessica Fletcher. But she has like 8,000 nieces and nephews because they're like always involved in murders and she has to like go help them. And also it's one of those things that like, okay, everywhere she goes, someone fucking dies. Like worst luck ever.
Which is like tied to the fan theory that she's actually the one committing the murders.
Oh, yeah.
And she just
Oh,
like
that'd be the
pins them on
best.
someone else.
But they're really, really good if you like those like old like 80s sort of murder mystery kind of stuff. It's super formulaic, but they're like only an hour.
Only?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just under. We're on like network TV. So that's like adorable. And then lastly, I had a bed when I was growing up that had a bed knob that you could unscrew. It didn't actually
looked
screw
exactly
on.
like that bed.
You would pop it on and off. It wasn't like
It was
screw
like
top.
a brass
Yep.
bed frame,
And
same thing.
And I got it because my Samantha doll American Girl had one just like it. And I wanted one too. So like I got that and then I got the little matching Samantha one. And you could take the bed knob off and like we would pretend and do the Bedknob and Broomstick game with it.
Yep.
It did not whisk us to Chumbawamba or wherever that is.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna get me down.
But it was a fun game to play.
It was.
For sure.
Where would you travel right now if you had the magical bed knob and could just travel? Where would you go? The traveling spell.
I really want to see Japan.
Wow.
That's like one on my list, but I think in the far future. I would also like to go to the island of Shetland, which is like Shetland Islands, which are north of Scotland. So they're Scottish. I watched this really great mystery show called Shetland on BBC. Actually, I think it was on Netflix. Really dark, like good mysteries, though, and like impossible to like understand what the people are saying because they have like the thickest Scottish accents ever. But you get used to them. And then lastly, Egypt, maybe. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah.
But like no like terrorism and make sure it was like safe and stuff.
I mean, it'd be ideal for me just because like I like the idea of travel, but I hate like getting there and jet lag, and that is not fun to me. So if I just had this magical bed, I could just go anywhere. I'd travel all the time, and then you could be home right away and sleep on the way because you're on a fucking
I think
bed.
The problem here is that you need to take first class.
I know, but I don't have enough money to do that, and it upsets me very much that I see these people in these like nice, cozy little quarters, and I'm like, what?
Oh man,
someday
first class is just a dream.
Have you ever been on it?
I've walked through it.
Okay. How do you know?
No, they have beds.
I know. I see
You're
it.
like sleeping like on your tray table, and someone is like fully lounged down. I flew Virgin last time I flew, maybe. Yeah, and like you walk into first class, and that's like where you enter, and then you're like shuttled like a cattle back into like
move along
coach,
and it's crazy.
And there's this giant bar in the middle with like all this champagne set up. It is like first class of Virgin is intense.
Oh my god,
there's like 2 levels.
I wonder how much that is.
Oh, it's thousands of dollars. Have you looked at first class when you do like or orbits cheap, or whatever?
Like JetBlue first class is like $1,000 more than the regular
international.
One. Yeah, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like a first class. So like Baltimore is like $1,000.
So crazy.
Imagine to like Spain.
So crazy.
Forget it.
I went to middle school with this kid who is now, I don't know what he does, but his Instagram is just pictures of him flying on really fancy planes to like Japan every other day, and he's like, look at the cabin I'm in today, and it's like the most luxurious plane in the world. I'm like, really, do we need to see this again? Like, what's going on?
You need to work for an airline, because I know this my friend's ex-boyfriend worked for American Airlines, and he got literally first class tickets anywhere he wanted in the world for $100. Anywhere he goes, like to Japan, like every he'll just be like, I feel like going to Japan, and they'll just like plop down $100.
Not fair.
I know.
Maybe that's why plane prices are so steep.
I mean,
that
or
sucks.
you should also like have a limit of like how many you can use as that person. But he must have like a really cushy job there. But yeah, work for an airline in a very high position.
Oh,
I guess that's what you get.
Yeah, well, dreams,
goals.
Yeah. So it's a little shop talk for y'all.
Yeah. So good one. I really enjoyed this a lot. I had like my day was fine, kind of boring, but it's really improved it.
Good.
So thank you, pollsters, for saying yes to the B and the B.
I like the B and the B. Ew, it's too close to P and the V. It's like very upsetting.
Or not at all.
I like to say Bedknobs and Broomsticks myself.
How about B squared?
B squared. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. Because wait, are those both one word? No. Yeah. Bedknobs is 2 words. Right? Did they make it 2 words? I don't know.
I don't know. You tell me.
Fine, I will.
Fine, tell me, Sandra D.
Fine, I will. Bedrooms. Yeah, they're both one word. They're both one word in this.
Weird.
But I feel like bedknob is 2 words. No, that's wrong. It's 1 word. I don't know. Google says it's 2 words. Yeah. Okay. Well, they made their own rule. That's fine. So we put out a call on Twitter for people to recommend a movie for us to watch next week. Is it next week? Our 1 year?
It's Saturday.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So if you listen to this before Saturday or before like Thursday, so you have like 1 day, shout out to us on Twitter and let us know what movie you'd like to see us cover. We're going to kind of calculate the top 4 movies that people recommended and then make another poll, and then you guys will pick what movie we'll watch on our 1 week anniversary, our 1 year anniversary.
We've
been doing this for 1 week, you guys. We're so good at it. But yeah, so that's very exciting, and then we're gonna have a couple special gifts, some prizes,
giveaways. Who doesn't have prizes, you guys?
So
yeah, but we
touch.
really need you to participate though. So get on that poll.
So
don't be lazy. We'll retweet it a couple times, but like, vote. Vote's no joke. LaDonna Martin graduate. I'm running out of things to say. I'm tired. It's really hot in here too.
Cool. Yeah. Cool. So keep up with us on social media. Follow us on Twitter at The Sweetie Club and on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. And thank you for listening and for being awesome and for getting us to that 1 year milestone.
You're the best. We love you.
Bye.